Hello and welcome to another one of my thoughts videos. In this one I'm going to be looking at a third method we absorb energy from the ambience or get energy that is not from our food. We've looked at the fourth state of water as being one of those, and also melanin as a photosynthesis method. The third one is the Piezo effect. Now, the Piezo effect is when you have a crystalline structure like a quartz crystal. If you compress it, the crystalline structure of the crystal goes out of alignment just so ever so slightly and allows electrons to start flowing. And you can connect one end of it becomes positive and the other negative, and you can get electricity flowing by that way. Now, if you apply energy to the two ends of that crystalline structure, it will make the opposite happen and make the crystal vibrate. And that's where you get either a piezoelectric microphone has sound waves that hit it and makes it vibrate and therefore generates a current which you can amplify as a microphone. The opposite, if you take the same microphone and you apply a current, it will beep, turn into a speaker, those ones that beep in your computer, for example. There are other applications in the medical field of making instruments to cut with, and they're very selective in the way it works, and that's to investigate in another time. Where it applies to us in this talk is that the Piezo effect happens in our bones. So our bones generate electricity. Now, because of the structure of the bone, it's a lot of calcium, collagen, and a few other things as well. And if you compress the bones when you move around, walk, jump, and when the muscles pull on them, it stretches and compresses the bone so that the bone structure makes electricity start to flow. Now, that electricity goes into the cytoplast, I think it is. There are cells that are sitting there monitoring things so that, and monitoring that level of electricity. The electricity comes to its surface and it makes the cell membrane open, and calcium gets into the cell, and that calcium then generates thinking, if you like, of the cell, which then generates signals that tells the two bone, the destruction crew and the building crew, the cytoplasts and the osteoblasts and osteoclasts, I think it is. One of them, when you break your bones don't actually repair, they reconstruct. They don't just mend them and fix them. They literally demolish the damaged areas. One kind of cell is dedicated to eating up that bone, and another kind is dedicated in rebuilding and remaking the bone. It doesn't just repair, it remakes the bone. Now, the signals to get that come from the static ones that are there monitoring, and when they receive this electricity, they then send messages out to these other two as to what to do. Now, the bones themselves are not solid as such. The outside is quite solid, but the inside is very honeycombed, and it is that pressure of the bone and where that electricity is generated which tells these three what to demolish and what to build, so that honeycomb effect makes the bone light but as strong as it possibly can. All unnecessary bone that is not needed for the work it's going to do is demolished, and what is weak, it is then built up and thickened, so you get a very precise honeycombing effect, which is an engineering marvel. Now, the difficulty is that if your electrics are out of whack, then the cytoplasts, or the ones that are stationary, will receive electricity or not receive electricity and get wrong messages. So they're going to tell maybe to demolish more bone or to make more bone. If it's not telling it to demolish bone, then you'll get things like osteoporosis. But if it gets messages to say build more bone, you'll get things like arthritis, warped bones and bunions and things like that. Bone that is not supposed to be there. And so it is very important that our electrical system is working properly. I don't know exactly how much energy or electricity is produced by this effect, whether it is ample and extra that gets used in other operations, or whether it's very little and it relies on other things. But it's enough at least to maintain your bones in their strongest position. Now, those three possibilities, the fourth state of water, photosynthesis by melanin, and the piezo effect, are three ways that our body can generate or absorb energy from the ambience that does not come from our food. And that has very interesting implications in many areas, and it should be studied a lot more. This then makes you wonder about other systems like your nervous system, your electromagnetic field that everything generates, and the semiconductive properties of different materials. We may, at an atomic level or a cellular or very small level, have circuitry, as it were, within the materials that we're made of. We could have like transistors and resistors, capacitors, and there's all of those electronic components that could be happening throughout our body. So it is very important to look at the electrical properties of us and try and figure out how these electrical things like the sun and the planets, the moon, the magnetic field of the planet, and all of this radiation that we're being bombarded with artificially, radio, x-rays, microwave, and cell phone coverage, and G5, and computers and electronic equipment, the electricity that's going through the wires in our house and under the street and overhead in the power lines and things, how all of that is affecting us. Oh, and another one is how your shoes are possibly blocking a good electron flow in your body from the earth to the earth, should I say, and what we absorb, and it's got to balance out and stuff. So I think there needs to be a lot more study and consider the consequences of the electronics and electricity and everything that we're using these days, and how to mitigate any bad effects that it may be having. What's it doing to your brain? What's it doing to your electrical system? What's it doing to your nervous system? What's it doing to your magnetic fields and your microelectronics that are operating in your body? I thought that was interesting, that those three alternative energy sources that's not our food. We always thought all the energy we had came from our food. Well, it doesn't. It's probably not much, but there is that extra. So, the Piezo effect.